I spent a week aboard Viking Ocean Cruises' Viking Orion on their Bermuda Escapes cruise. This was my third cruise with Viking Ocean, and I was on this one by myself. I'll tell you why I was alone and all of my thoughts on this cruise coming up right after this. Hey cruisers, welcome to my review of Viking Orion. In the spirit of full disclosure, we were invited on this cruise by Viking Cruises. However, Viking is not sponsoring this video and no money has changed hands. Viking has no input into the content of this video, and they have no idea what I'm going to say. I should clarify that unlike many video review channels you find on YouTube, CruiseReport is not affiliated with a travel agency. We're simply travel journalists. So if you end up booking a Viking cruise directly with Viking or through a travel agency, we gain nothing either way. As I mentioned in my opening, I was on this cruise by myself. My girlfriend, Ricky, who also just happens to be the senior editor at CruiseReport.com, suffered injuries from a kind of a freak accident just days before the cruise. So we decided it would be better for her recovery to forego this cruise. This 7-night cruise is referred to by Viking as Bermuda Escapes. The itinerary is basically 2 nights in Hamilton, Bermuda, followed by a day at sea, then 2 nights at King's Wharf, Bermuda, followed by another day at sea, and then 1 more night in Hamilton before disembarkation. Certainly not the most exciting itinerary, to be honest, but hey, after 18 months of no cruising, it's just good to be back on a cruise ship. Cruising from Bermuda comes with a host of stringent requirements. Everyone sailing on Viking Ocean is required to be fully vaccinated. You must show proof of a negative COVID-19 PCR test that was taken within 4 days of arrival in Bermuda. This is a requirement of the Bermuda government. You must also complete an online form to receive a Bermuda travel authorization, which you must have with you at the Bermuda airport upon arrival. Now, if you don't have this travel authorization, there's a $1,000 fine. So get the authorization before you go. Oh, and there's a $75 fee for obtaining the authorization form online. But $75 is a hell of a lot better than $1,000. Now, upon arrival at the airport in Bermuda, which by the way is brand new and very nice, you will be required to undergo another PCR nasal swab at the airport. And let me tell you, this is a serious nasal swab. It will bring tears to your eyes. Before I get into Viking Orion, let's talk about what's going on here with Viking Cruises. This company started in 2000 with the purchase of 4 river cruise ships and proceeded to build a reputation as the world leader in European river cruises. Now, we've been sailing with Viking since 2003, way before their launch of their revolutionary Viking longships. So we have watched this company quietly grow and expand and develop into a major player in the cruise industry. In 2015, Viking launched their first ocean cruise ship, the Viking Star. And every year after that, or so it seems, they crank out another ocean-going ship. Now, there are currently 7 Viking Ocean ships, with another on the way in 2022. Unlike most cruise lines, Viking Ocean ships are all virtually identical. They all carry just around 900 guests, which by today's standards almost qualifies them as small ships. And from the outside, honestly, they're really nothing special. If you see a Viking Orion docked next to Celebrity Edge or Carnival, Mardi Gras, your eyes are going to move toward the larger, more glitzy ship. Viking ships are not glitzy. On the inside, the ships are subtle. There's nothing in your face. There's no shock and awe when you step aboard a Viking ship. The decor is understated and most definitely Scandinavian, but not in an IKEA type of way. All the furnishings and materials are of the highest quality. The ships are contemporary, but very, very tastefully done, and they're all virtually identical on the inside. What this means is that when you book your next cruise with Viking Ocean, you only need to be concerned with the destination, because no matter which ship you choose, it's going to be just like the last one you were on. Also, these ships are geared toward adults. In fact, no children under 18 are allowed. In my final summary, I'll go into a few more details about what makes Viking Ocean unique. But let's get started with my review of Viking Orion. Once you've completed the COVID test at the airport, Viking representatives will greet you just outside of the terminal, making sure that you have all your hand luggage. And then they will direct you to a small shuttle van for the ride to the port. It's about a 30-minute drive to the ship in Hamilton. Our flight landed about 3 p.m. and I think we arrived at the ship by maybe 4:45. Once at the pier, you'll go through a small terminal building where you're given your contact tracing device and they put your luggage through security. Now we'll talk more about this contact tracing device later. After you go through the X-ray machine, you're then ready to board Viking Orion. If you have mobility issues, there will be someone from Viking to assist you up the pretty long gangway. And once we boarded Viking Orion, we were escorted to the Star Theater, which was my designated muster station. And there, Sophie, one of the ship's entertainment cast, was conducting a short demonstration on how to put on a life vest.
And a whistle to grab attention if you need to. So that's your life jacket. This is your muster station. Once more, we're on deck 2 forward of the ship.
There may be, 15, 20 people in our group. The demonstration only took a few minutes. And one important difference in Viking and some other cruise lines is that Viking does not put life vests in your stateroom. Instead, they keep the life vests at the muster stations. This is actually pretty smart. In the event of an emergency, you don't have to rush back to your stateroom to get your life vest. You simply go to your muster station, where a life vest will be waiting for you. Now, to me, that makes much more sense, and it also frees up storage space in the stateroom. And it prevents guests from dragging life vest straps up and down stairs, which can easily cause someone to trip and fall. I've seen it happen. After the life vest demonstration, I was free to go to my stateroom. And just a couple of minutes after I arrived in my stateroom, Jarek, my stateroom attendant, knocked on the door and introduced himself. He informed me that due to COVID protocols, he was not allowed to come into the stateroom with me in there. So he just pointed a few things out from the hallway. He explained the minibar, told me if there was anything I needed just to ask, and he suggested I watch the mandatory safety video playing on the stateroom television. He also pointed out that I needed to complete yet another COVID test, the Viking COVID PCR test, within the next 15 minutes. Now, basically, you have to spit into a small plastic tube and collect at least 2 milliliters of saliva. He said he would return in 15 minutes to retrieve that sample, which he did. So once you watch the safety video, which takes about 5 minutes, and complete the saliva test, that completes the embarkation process, much simpler and quicker than the old traditional muster drill. Much prefer it. Viking Orion can accommodate 930 guests. There are 10 decks accessible via elevators and stairs. Now, public spaces are on decks 1, 2, 7, and 8, and the sun deck, which could be considered deck 9 forward. Deck A is below Deck 1 and is only used for embarkation in some ports or tender operations. There's a bank of 4 elevators aft that are quite large and very fast, and they go from deck A to deck 8. There are 2 forward elevators that go all the way from deck A to deck 9. The medical center is located on deck A forward. The ship is extremely easy to navigate, and large touchscreens are located in the elevator lobbies to help you just in case you get lost. The elevators even have a gangway button that will always deliver you to the proper deck for disembarkation when you're in port. It's a very smart design. In fact, a lot of thought has obviously gone into the design of these ships. My penthouse veranda stateroom number 6015 was located on deck 6 forward. It was a great location for me since each morning I could just walk up one flight of stairs and easily get to the Explorer's Lounge where I would have my morning coffee and, work on my blog. The penthouse veranda is 338 square feet, which I assume includes the balcony. A standard or deluxe veranda stateroom is 270 square feet, which is what we've occupied in the past. The additional 68 square feet is immediately noticeable. The stateroom is very comfortable. Now, I don't want to give away too much because I've got a complete video review of the penthouse veranda stateroom on Viking Orion. And in fact, in that video, I'll tell you exactly what I loved about the penthouse veranda and a few things that I was not so crazy about. But I'll put a link in the corner of this video and in the description of the video. So if you want to check it out, please do. In the next section, I'm going to cover the health protocols employed by Viking Ocean. But before I do, I'd like to ask you a favor. If you're passionate about cruising, it would be a huge help to us if you'd take the time to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our business was basically wiped out due to the cruise shutdown, and we're trying to reestablish our social media influence. Subscribing to our channel is completely free, and you can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Now, I'll put links on the screen and in the description of this video. Now, let's get on with the review of Viking Orion. Viking has a comprehensive set of protocols in place to keep guests safe from COVID-19 and other illnesses. All guests and crew are required to be fully vaccinated at least 14 days prior to boarding the vessel. Each guest is provided with a contact tracing device. We talked about it earlier. It's a small, round plastic disc that you can wear it around your neck or you carry it in your pocket. But you're required to keep this device on your person at all times, even when you're on an excursion or ashore on your own. Each Viking Ocean ship has its own testing lab for COVID-19, and saliva samples are collected from every guest each day. Each evening during turndown service, a clean collection tube is left in the stateroom, and guests are required to provide at least 2 milliliters of saliva in the tube each morning, and then you just leave the tube on your desk and your stateroom attendant will attend it. It goes into a little plastic bag. The process is much less invasive than a nasal swab, and it's really not a big deal. Daily temperature checks are required, and they use this kind of an iPad device, and they're located at the entrance of, I know they're at the World Cafe and at the restaurant. The devices use facial recognition technology, and they're actually kind of cool. Guests are routinely reminded to wash their hands when they enter the restaurant or the World Cafe, using sinks near the entrance to these venues. At other venues, guests are reminded to use the hand sanitation stations, and there is always a crew member there to remind you. And these sanitation stations are located basically throughout the ship. There is a daily health questionnaire that each guest is required to complete. Now, this can be done through the interactive stateroom television, which is my preferred way of doing it, or you can use the app, or a paper form will be left in your stateroom. Basically, they just ask you if you have any flu-like symptoms or a fever or anything like that. When guests are moving about the ship, they are required to wear a mask. Of course, when eating, drinking, or in your stateroom, you're not required to wear a mask. All crew members are required to wear a mask at all times. Masks are provided in your stateroom and available throughout the ship, just in case you forget yours, which I always do. This is probably the least popular policy because it's the most controversial one, given that all the guests have been vaccinated. Also, the science has shown that these masks are minimally effective at preventing the spread of COVID-19. I believe the last numbers I saw were about 10% effective for the cloth masks, and surgical masks only about 12% effective. And the mask policy itself kind of lacks basic common sense. You have to wear a mask when walking down a hall by yourself. But if you sit down at a restaurant with 5 or 6 other people to drink, laugh, have conversation, you can remove your mask. Now, ironically, this would be the most likely time for particles to be spread between guests. So on a fully vaccinated cruise, a mask policy begins to look more like window dressing and not a serious health policy based on any available science. There is one other area of the ship that's often overlooked in reviews, and that's the public restrooms. The public restrooms on Viking Orion are spotless. First of all, there's hand soap and sanitizer at the sinks, along with real hand towels to dry your hands. But from a health and safety standpoint, they also put paper towels by the doors and even a sign recommending that you use a paper towel to open the door handle. Now, I've always done this in hotels, restaurants, and cruise ships, but it's nice to see that Viking actually accommodates this sanitary behavior. And to make using the public restrooms a pleasant experience, they even play the natural sound of birds chirping while you're doing whatever it is you do in there. There are many dining options available on Viking Ocean ships. So what I'm going to do is start at the top of the ship and just kind of work my way down deck by deck. On deck 7 aft, you'll find the World Cafe, the ship's Lido buffet. World Cafe is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner each day, and quite simply, this is one of my favorite buffets on any cruise line. Now, if you've followed us in the past, you know that neither Ricky nor I are big fans of buffets. The food is usually cold, flavorless, and just basically substandard, but not so at World Cafe. There's seating and nearly identical serving lines on both the port and starboard sides at World Cafe. And at the aft section of the cafe, you'll find some additional seating as well as seating on the Aquavit terrace for alfresco dining. When the weather is nice, they even have these large sliding doors that can be opened to give the entire dining room an open-air feel. At breakfast, you can choose from all the popular items, or you can even have eggs made to order. There's a waffle station where a fresh, hot waffle can be topped with anything you can imagine. My favorite breakfast at World Cafe is a little unusual. It's the fried rice and the shumai dumplings. I'm sure these are provided for Asian guests, but I'm not a huge fan of eggs and bacon, so this was my go-to breakfast. For lunch and dinner, the hot dish items will change every day. And there's a carving station where you can have a slice of roast beef, or they'll carve off some chicken, or even porchetta on one day at lunch. The pizza can be found in the aft section of the starboard serving line, while ice cream is served on the port side, and they're both good. There's a new station that's unique to Viking Orion and I believe Viking Jupiter, located at the aft of World Cafe. At dinner, this station prepares Asian stir-fry to order, and at lunch it becomes a pasta station. At breakfast, made-to-order omelets are created here. On deck 7 midship, you'll find the pool grill serving burgers, hot dogs, and sandwiches. The burgers here are really thick and juicy and can be made to order. The fries are hot and crispy, and there's even a small salad bar where you can get some pre-burger starters. On deck 7 forward port side, you'll find Mamsens. I like to think of this as kind of a Norwegian snack bar. Norwegian specialties are available here throughout the day, and this was my go-to spot for early riser coffee each morning. The traditional Norwegian waffle is something that every guest should try at least once. And don't balk at those dark curls of Norwegian cheese. The cheese is a caramelized goat cheese, and it actually complements the flavor of the syrup-soaked waffle. They're really good. Mamsen's is generally open from 6:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., then reopens with snacks from 4 to 5 p.m. like cakes and pies. They're unbelievable. The cakes and the sweets here actually look amazing. They open again, I believe, between 9 and 10 o'clock at night. There's another dining venue on Deck 7, but I'm going to save that until the end of my food and dining review. So don't go anywhere. On Deck 2 aft, you'll find the restaurant, which is the largest dining venue on the ship. I think I said earlier there were sinks at the restaurant. I'm not sure if there are. But the restaurant has full table service and is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, with lunch and dinner menus that change each day. I had dinner here on my first evening. The service was excellent and the food was served hot and delicious. Had a really good steak. Reservations are requested to dine at the restaurant. And of course, you can make reservations through the Viking app or the interactive stateroom television, or you could just call guest services. There are two other specialty restaurants on Deck 1 aft. Manfredi's is Viking's Italian restaurant, and in my opinion, one of the best restaurants on any cruise ship. Manfredi's is only open for dinner, and the menu is the same every evening. It offers an excellent choice of Italian specialties. Now, on my first visit, I had the antipasti starter, which was amazing. Actually, almost too much for one person to eat. On my second visit, I ordered a starter portion of the pasta of the day, kind of a mushroom tortellini that was just absolutely decadent. On both visits, my main course, though, was the legendary bistecca fiorentina, a marinated and grilled ribeye that is a steak lover's dream come true. This is the best steak you're going to find on any cruise ship, period. Now, there are several side dishes on offer at Manfredi's. I tried the sautéed cherry tomatoes and the creamed spinach, and I would definitely order the creamed spinach again, but I think I'd take a pass on the tomatoes. And the bread basket is also amazing. Manfredi's may be the best restaurant at sea. Now, next door to Manfredi's on Deck 1 is the Chef's Table, also only open for dinner. This is a unique ethnic degustation dining concept that features a set 5-course tasting menu, and that changes every 3 or 4 days. The meal includes a wine pairing with each course. However, there is an upgraded premium wine pairing for about, I think it's $25 per person. And on my first visit to the Chef's Table, the menu was Mexico, featuring Mexican flavors. Now, being from Texas, I was kind of disappointed because we get Mexican food all the time. This turned out to be one of the best meals I had on this cruise. On my second visit, the menu had changed to Asian Panorama, which I had previously at the Chef's Table on other Viking ships, so I was familiar with that menu. The presentation and preparation were even better than I remembered. Both of my meals at the Chef's Table were excellent. Oh, and in case I failed to mention it, all dining on board Viking Orion and all Viking Ocean ships is complimentary. On other cruise lines, you would easily pay an additional $30 to $50 per person to dine at Manfredi's or the Chef's Table. There is one other dining venue on Deck 1. I think it's called the Kitchen Table or the Chef's Kitchen, I'm not sure which, and it's an interactive cooking lab. Unfortunately, this venue is temporarily closed due to social distancing measures, I assume. Now, Viking also offers 24-hour complimentary room service with a menu that can be found on the stateroom television. Room service breakfast can be ordered using the breakfast menu in your stateroom, and you just hang it on the door before you go to bed at night. Now, there is that one bonus venue on Deck 7 that I promised to tell you about at the end of this section. But before I do, I'd like to once again ask you to take a moment to click the subscribe button and join our community of passionate cruise enthusiasts. Remember, it's free to subscribe, and as a subscriber, you can be notified each time we post new videos. The last dining venue, which is very special, is afternoon tea at Winter Garden on Deck 7 midship. Winter Garden may be one of the most beautiful spaces on any cruise ship, and it's perfectly suited for afternoon tea. Afternoon tea is offered every day from 4 to 5 p.m., and guests are offered a wide choice of teas from a vast menu. Fresh-made scones with clotted cream and strawberry preserves are my favorite. And there's also a 3-tiered tray of more sweets and savory finger sandwiches that may have you reconsidering or at least delaying your dinner plans. I promised to tell you what I liked and what I didn't like about Viking Orion. But honestly, when it comes to the food and dining, there's really not much to complain about. Overall, this may be the best dining on any cruise ship. There are 5 bars and lounges on Viking Orion. The Viking Bar is located on Deck 1 midship, just off the atrium. Here you'll find very comfortable seating on Deck 1 and even some seating on Deck 2 just above the atrium. The Viking Bar is open from morning to midnight. Torshaven is located on Deck 2 and is more of a nightclub atmosphere with live entertainment most evenings. Torshaven is open from 9 p.m. till closing, whenever that is. The pool bar is on Deck 7 midship, and on Deck 7 aft is the Aqua V bar. Both of these bars open at 10 a.m. The pool bar closes at 8 p.m., while Aqua V I think stays open until about 10 p.m. Now, my favorite watering hole, however, is on Deck 7 forward. That's the Explorer's Lounge. Because not only do you get great drinks, but you enjoy these amazing views of the ocean. Now, bar service in every venue is excellent, and the drink prices are competitive with other cruise lines. A glass of Viking sparkling wine is $5.50, and it's our favorite sparkling wine on any cruise line. A glass of Ponte Prosecco is $8. Most beers are in the $5 range, which is pretty typical. Canadian Club or Crown Royal are $8. It should be pointed out that beer, wine, and soft drinks are complimentary with meals. So, if you're primarily a wine or beer drinker, you could get by quite nicely with a lengthy dinner at the World Cafe, which is open till 9 p.m. Just saying. Viking offers a Silver Spirits beverage package for $19.95 per night per guest, or $140 for a 7-night cruise. Now compare that to Carnival, that charges $51.95 per day for their Cheers drink package. And on Carnival, you're limited to 15 drinks per day. Does anyone really exceed the 15 drinks per day? I did purchase the Silver Spirits package on this cruise, and I consider it to be a very good value. Not only do you get all the house wines and beers and liquors, including cocktails, house drinks, mixers, long drinks, coffee, teas, all that throughout the day, but it also includes the premium wine pairing at the chef's table. And that's a $25 value right by itself. When I dined at Manfredi's, the wine stewardess recognized that I had the Silver Spirits package and brought a slightly better quality red wine to the table rather than the house wine, and it was really good. When it comes to keeping guests entertained, the primary focus with Viking is really about the destination itself. There's included excursions in every port and some optional excursions at an additional cost in most ports. There are lectures held in the Star Theater during the afternoons, which also focus on the destination. Now, Viking is not really known for its high-impact, glitzy production shows. You know, if you want a Broadway-style entertainment, you're only going to find that on ships with 4,000 or 5,000 passengers. Viking places more emphasis on relaxation and destination than it does on elaborate production shows. Now, that said, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos where they completely dismiss the entertainment on Viking ships, and I think that's unfair and even inaccurate. Viking does have a cast of vocalists and a live band that puts on some entertaining evening shows. They're just not the huge productions that you might be used to on a big ship. And we were treated to 2 such shows on this cruise. I think there was an ABBA tribute and a 60s British music tribute, both of which are very entertaining. There's a classic duo that performs in the atrium at various times during the day, as well as Antel Farkas, one of the best pianists I've ever heard on a cruise ship. Michael was playing the guitar and singing at various venues. A little better on the guitar than he was at singing, by the way. One of the best shows on the cruise was from Brian Rodriguez, Viking Orion's cruise director. Now, Brian is an accomplished tenor, has an amazing voice, and one evening in the atrium, he treated us to a wonderful display of his vocal talents. On previous Viking Ocean cruises, we've seen Adagio dancers, but there were no dancers on this sailing. Maybe Viking's still rebuilding their entertainment after the COVID shutdown. There are not as many daytime activities on Viking Ocean as you would find on other cruise lines. Occasionally they have team trivia, there are lectures and a few other organized activities, but it's sparse. Again, the focus is on the destination. One area, though, where Viking really excels is the Live Nordic Spa, located on Deck 1 forward. There's a substantial fitness center fully equipped with techno gym circuit machines, free weights, treadmills, all the cardio equipment. And the spa is one of the best you'll find on any cruise ship. And it's complimentary. You pay for this on other cruise lines. There are beautiful locker changing rooms for men and women, dry sauna, cold plunge, showers, a huge thalassotherapy pool and hot tub steam room. The snow grotto was being worked on, unfortunately, during our cruise, but it's usually full of real snow and quite refreshing after stepping out of the steam room. There are some heated relaxation beds in one section that these are really amazing to dry off. And there's even some pool loungers where you can take a peaceful nap if you want to. But if you really want to wake up, try the cold water bucket dump. The Live Nordic Spa offers a wide variety of spa treatments and massages and has a full hair and nail salon. There are also 2 swimming pools on Viking Orion. One is located midship on Deck 7, and it has a sliding roof that can completely cover this pool in inclement or cold weather. There's a large hot tub at one end of the pool and plenty of sun loungers in both the shade and the sun. There's also an infinity pool and another hot tub aft on Deck 7 in the Aqua V Terrace, which is kind of the signature of all Viking Ocean ships. This is the best place on the ship to enjoy a beautiful sunset. The sun deck on Viking Orion is located above Deck 8 forward and features mini golf, table tennis, and lawn bowling, as well as 2 shuffleboard courts. There's a large dome rising from the sun deck, which is actually the planetarium, accessible from the Explorer's Dome on Deck 8 forward. Viking Orion and Jupiter, I think, are the only 2 Viking ships that feature a planetarium, and it's really a cool thing to do. There's no charge for the planetarium experience, but you do need to make a reservation. The Star Theater is located on Deck 2 forward, and this is where you can enjoy lectures during the day or your evening entertainment. There are also 2 cinemas in the aft section of the Star Theater, which are used to show movies, or they can be used for additional theater seating during one of the shows. If you're a sun worshiper, you'll most likely spend your time on Deck 7 aft, around the infinity pool, or on Deck 8 aft, where there's this expansive deck that can accommodate a lot of sun loungers. And this space was virtually unused on our cruise since the ship was only at about 25% of guest capacity. As you may already be able to tell, I'm a pretty big fan of Viking Orion. I would go back in a heartbeat. This was my 3rd Viking Ocean cruise, and Viking is one of my 3 all-time favorite cruise lines. I cannot detect any lack of service or quality from our past Viking Ocean cruises. They're just consistently good in all aspects. Now, are there some things I'd like to see changed? Sure. Maybe a few more daytime activities, pump up the evening shows a bit more. COVID may have tamped these things down a bit, so it may just be a case of waiting until things completely return to normal, unless this is normal. I sort of wish they had a casino, but I can live without it. I love the fact that there are no children under 18 allowed, no pushy photography sales, no art auctions, no charges for alternate dining. You basically get free Wi-Fi, complimentary use of the laundrettes, no smoking, no formal nights. You don't experience that feeling of being nickel and dimed on Viking. I was also very impressed with the fact that in spite of my cruise being at less than 25% capacity, I think there was only 175 people on board, they kept both sides of the buffet service open in the World Cafe. Now, most cruise lines would have shut down one serving line, but they kept every restaurant open and at full service. That was impressive. They want every guest, regardless of how many are on board, to get the full Viking experience. I noticed it and I appreciated it. A Viking Ocean cruise is one of the best values in cruising, and it's the only cruise line that can take you through the rivers of Europe, the oceans of the world, and soon the Mississippi River and expedition cruising. Now, if you have any specific questions about my cruise on Viking Orion, please, I invite you to post those in the comments section of this video. We do read all the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. That really does help out our YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our website for our daily cruise blogs, more photos, and other travel reviews. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for joining me today, and remember, smooth sailing.